4, The Wounds We Don't See. Have you ever asked yourself the following questions? Why do children respond differently to experiences? How do unseen wounds shape behavior? What assumptions do adults often make about invisible trauma? Not all wounds are visible. Some leave no bruises, no scars on the skin, yet they alter brain development, emotional wiring, and how a child navigates the world for years to come. In this episode, we explore the hidden injuries children carry, from prenatal exposure to substances like cannabis, to witnessing violence in the home, exploitation, or abuse that happens behind closed doors, and why these wounds shape development in ways most people never imagine. Because understanding these invisible wounds is the first step towards seeing the child, not just the behavior. Two children can sit in the same classroom, grow up in seemingly similar environments, or even live through the exact same traumatic event, and yet respond in completely different ways. One may appear resilient, bouncing back with few outward signs or distress. The other may struggle with severe relational difficulties, explosive behaviors, withdrawal, or challenges in learning and forming trust. Trauma is not one size fits all. Why the difference? Individual factors play a huge role, such as genetics, temperament, age at exposure, the presence or absence of a safe, nurturing caregiver, and protective elements like community support or innate resilience. A securely attached child with strong supports might process adversity more adaptively, while another without those buffers faces a higher risk of lasting impacts. Resilience isn't about being untouched by pain, it's about having resources to adapt and recover. But when those resources are absent, even the same event can become toxic stress that rewires the developing brain. Some wounds begin before birth, long before a child draws their first breath. Prenatal exposure to substances, including alcohol, opioids, and increasingly cannabis, can subtly disrupt neurological development. Research shows that prenatal cannabis exposure, for example, is linked to challenges in executive function, like attention, inhibitory control and planning, increased aggression, hyperactivity, inattention, and even higher risk for issues like ADHD symptoms or behavioral problems in childhood and adolescence. THC crosses the placenta and interacts with the fetal endocannabinoid system, which plays a key role in brain wiring, affecting areas involved in memory, emotional regulation, and impulse control. These effects aren't always dramatic at birth, but they can emerge over time as demands for self-regulation increase in school and in relationships. Other wounds come from experiences no child should ever endure: chronic neglect, witnessing domestic violence, parental drug use in chaotic environments, exploitation, or in the most heartbreaking cases, being sexually abused or even prostituted by those meant to protect them. Consider a child who repeatedly witnesses a parent being violently assaulted at home. Long term, this exposure can lead to heightened fear responses, difficulty trusting others, problems with emotional regulation, increased aggression or withdrawal, anxiety, depression, and even a higher risk of repeating cycles of violence in adulthood. The brain's stress system stays on high alert, making everyday interactions feel threatening. We've worked with children who were sexually abused, became sexually reactive as a way to cope or reenact what happened to them, or turned into young offenders, not because they are bad, but because their own victimization taught them that power and control are survival tools in a dangerous world. These invisible wounds shape core beliefs, such as the world is unsafe, I am unworthy of love or protection, people will hurt me, or I must hurt them first. They alter how a child sees themselves, often with deep shame or self-blame, how they interpret others' intentions, being hypervigilant or mistrust, and how they respond to the very people trying to help them, teachers, therapists, foster parents, and even adoptive parents. A simple redirection might trigger defiance or shutdown because it echoes past powerlessness. Attachment becomes fraught. Relationships feel risky. Yet, here's the critical truth. These children are not broken beyond repair. The brain remains plastic, especially in youth, with consistent trauma-informed care, safe relationships, predictability, emotional validation, and targeted interventions. Healing is possible, but we must first see what isn't obvious. Every child's story is different, and every wound matters. Even when it's hidden from view, invisible doesn't mean insignificant. In our final episode, we'll look at how these patterns show up in classrooms, courtrooms, and child-serving systems, and why, despite policies, programs, and protocols, healing still comes down to one essential thing: people. Caring, attuned adults who refuse to look away from what they cannot immediately see. Remember, you cannot heal what you cannot see, and many wounds are hidden. Prenatal exposures, chronic neglect, witness violence, and relational betrayals leave no external marks, but profoundly influence brain development, self-perception, and behavior. Remember, not every child exposed to the same event will show the same effects. Resilience factors like secure attachments and support can buffer impact, but lack of them amplifies harm. Remember, assumptions like they're just acting out or they'll grow out of it overlook invisible trauma. Compassionate curiosity, asking what happened to you, instead of what's wrong with you, opens the door to real understanding and help. And remember, have a great day, and send your comments or questions to Dr. Ed Shoemaker, PhD, LMHC at MrEdCircleOfTrust.com, and visit our Substack at elevatemindsabovepolitics.substack.com and subscribe, spread the word.